So, welcome back to all of you for the Java 12 features. So, you people want the a recap of what we covered so far, or shall we start with Java
Better to have some recap. We have
12?
one
Okay,
more gap.
okay. So, it's like a three sessions journey actually. So we started with the understanding of Java 8 and its evolvement from the Java earlier releases. This how from earlier releases and sorry, yeah. So these are the different releases what we had from Java 1.0 till Java 14 what we have so far. So so we explain what is functional programming and how it is different with our object-oriented programming. Uh, So that concepts we just covered and the different these features, lambda expression, method references, default methods, and new streams. All these things we covered in the in the first session actually. We explained what is lambda expression. There are there are videos uploaded in the YouTube for all the three sessions which I have covered. That has the details of what and all we can do, and we did some exercise also. We took some example and we did some exercise. So what is Java stream? Then what is default method? How we can implement default method. Then we started Java 9 features. So Java 9 also has some good features. So we covered what is JShell, how it can execute well. So these all things I just covered in my second presentation. Okay. I think after that, yeah, these are all Java 9 features. These are all Java 9 features. So I have the videos are already uploaded to YouTube. You can just watch to know more about Java 8, 9, and 10 features.
Okay.
Okay. So Java 10, I think last session or 2 weeks back, we had a session on this Java 10. So what all different features available in Java 10. So we covered all of them. And we tried to cover Java 11 features also. So till this point was the total entire sessions what we have covered uh, till last week. So now the next topic is Java 12. Before I get into Java 12, in Java 11 there are a few things I just wanted to highlight. Uh, I could not cover. I could not do the exercise of these things in the last session. Maybe I can briefly tell you about these exercises. I can just show you the code how it looks like, just to get an understanding of these Java 11 features. Okay. So if I come here, so this is one important feature: nested-based access control. So within with the Java 11 new APIs, we can do some more things. And in Java 11 onwards, if for inner classes, you get some for inner class methods, right? So if you want to access the inner class or inner class methods, there are some ways we do, right? So that process has little changed in Java 11 onwards. That's one important thing that I wanted to show. And this HTTP client, this one, this is one thing which I could not cover it in the last this one. So maybe quickly I'll show you the code. I'll not go into detail because I need to cover all the 12, 13, and 14 features in this session. So I'll just quickly show Java 11 this one, nested based access control. So earlier in Java, right before Java 11, let's say if I write this code, if I write this code, so you'll see there is something like this is my nested class and it has inner class, right? So if I execute this code, so okay, Java compiler will create something like this, and it adds all these things, right? So these things, there's an intermediate, a bridge kind of uh, a temporary class gets created for you. So like this is how it gets created, right? So these things will not be there going forward. So this is one thing that just wanted to highlight. This is one thing. So this intermediate bridge kind of class generation, which actually helps to understand what's going on, right? So we use, this is how it gets generated. Thus, this will not be there anymore. This is one thing. The other one is the HTTP client. Earlier in HTTP client, you have to create your object and you have to add the parameters and all these things. Now, there are some builder methods provided. So you can just add whatever you want to add. So this is basically a builder pattern. From the design pattern point of view, if you see, this is builder pattern wherein you add all the features that you want to add to the HTTP client and you can execute it. This is how it works now. This is one kind of handy for us to add all the required parameters or features to your HTTP client. Any questions? Yeah, these two things I just wanted to highlight. Okay. If there are no questions, then let's get into Java 12 feature, which is planned for today. Okay. Java 12, so Java 12 and 13 are not very big features as such, but there are uh, some features got added, but it's not so important. But Java 14 has a lot of things. So Java 12 and 13 are many of the features are mostly experimental kind of features. It means they introduced these features in 12 and 13, and they saw the response, and then they added those features as part of Java 14 as as a API or as a permanent feature available for the user for usage. Okay, okay, so in Java 12, I'll just quickly go through Java 12. So first thing is there are some features. Also, first feature is this switch expression. In the existing world of switch statement, we write, right? So how do we write? Generally, we write switch case, and then inside that you write case 1, case 2, case 3, and each case will have some logic, right? And then you will add default. That's how we do. And every case you'll do some return, correct? That's what we do, right? So any questions on these existing switch statements that we have? I'll go through the code now. Okay, I'll take example of this too. My Eclipse is not Java 14 compliant, Java 12 compliant, so that's why the compiler is doing here. But I'll try to explain you the code, what exactly it is. So this is how we write, right? In the existing world, I have something in the switch statement, and I want to execute, and based on the value, I'll return something here, correct? Any questions? Any questions on this code?
No.
All right. So in Java 12, this got changed. So if you see here, break, in the break itself, I'm returning something here. I'm not returning, not assigning something to like this result and then returning back. So this is how we used to do earlier. We have to assign something to it and then we have to return that value. That's how we used to do, right? Return and all. So here, if you see, this entire value got returned from this directly. It's got assigned directly here. This is a new thing that in Java 12, the feature got added. This is called enable preview. And basically, from the Oracle point of view, they introduced this feature as an experimental feature. That means they wanted to see the response, how people behave, it really attracts people to use this. Those kind of features they added. in Java 12. So in Java 12, again, there's one more thing. If you know the lambda expression, right? In the lambda expression also you can add as part of the lambda expression. So same above code now can be written in only these many lines. Everything is covered here itself. So this lambda expression will take care of the return time. Any questions?
Do we need to return the result on the example which is quoted on top? You're returning the result again, though you said that the break itself will return back the result. Why do you need to return the result again?
Sorry, come again. You mean this result you're talking about?
Exactly, you're returning it back again, but what is the difference? Because you're already from the case itself, you're returning something back. Then why do we need to return back that result?
You mean this one you're talking about?
Yeah, the
You
last.
don't need like this.
Yeah. Should we do it like this, or will it work even without that?
This will work. I just took an example to show how the return works.
Okay.
See, if you see this code, it's already returning directly. I don't have to write that statement.
Yeah.
That is your coding standard, coding style, how you want to write it. So some people prefer to write this, and some people like return like this. Just to understand the concept. So the concept is important here. So I am not returning anything here. The break statement itself will add this return. So I don't have to code like this. The earlier code, generally we used to code like this. Something we have to assign, or you have to write some return statement here that will actually return. So all these things are now you don't have to do it. Java itself will take care of doing this return with the break statement as well as with the lambda expression. With both of these things. Any questions on this switch statement?
Okay, in the second method in Java 12, suppose if you have we got the switch in case 3, it will break that line in that it will switch to the return line number 41, right? It will give the control to line number 41.
Yes. No, yeah, I'm assigning here, right?
Okay.
I'm assigning here, and that value, whatever value I'm getting here, I'm returning back. So earlier you can't assign something to switch statement. If you see here above code, you can't assign anything to switch statement. It will give compilation error.
Oh yes. Okay.
Okay. So now the switch statement itself is returning you the result. You don't have to specify that.
Okay.
If you see here in the line number 46, this itself is returning the result. You don't have to do anything else.
Okay.
Okay. This is a I'm adding into multiple lines. This same code can be written like this in a single return. The advantage in this one is number of lines of code is got reduced. Okay. Any questions?
And there is one question in the chat window.
Sorry?
There is one question posted in chat window.
Okay, I can check. We use break so that we don't go to the next case. But what if we want to go to the next case? How do we do that in the lambda function? Your question is you want to break, right? That's what you want to do. Let's say case 1, case 2 got executed and you want to break, right? So that break itself is taken care here. You don't have to do anything. You can add that break statement also if you want, like this. Multiple lines, you can add that break statement and you can return it. I have not experimented it. Maybe you can just try it out. But it should be possible to do multiple things with this. If you understand the lambda expression, right? In lambda expression, if you're writing everything in one line, a single line statement, you don't have to add open brace and close brace, flower brace. If you have multiple things, then you can add that, and you can. So basically, if you put a break, it will just come out with a result, whatever you want to do. Still existing also will work. There's no problem with that. But this is a new thing that break and this lambda expression added as part of your switch statement. That's the actual statement of this feature.
No, I think his question is different. If you can check the chat.
Mhm. You want to go to next case statement? Yeah, so that is taken care by switch statement itself, right? If I understand. So in switch statement, if let's say that there's a number here, okay, if it doesn't match 1 or 2, it will go to next one and check for 3. Let's say you're passing 4. So after 1, 2, checking, it go to 3 and then it goes to 4. That's how it works, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, the semicolon makes the difference here. This case is like I have written this case here, and the next case comes here, right? The next one. So this case is done now.
Okay.
This is basically your coding style, how you want to code it, whether you want to do it in multiple lines or single line, or you want to break it. So you can do all these things, whatever you're doing currently. Same thing you can do now also. There's no problem. Here the the new feature that got added is basically switch statement never used to return something. Now switch statement is returning, and your break statement used to just break your switch condition. It used to come out. So instead of that, break statement itself will return you something, the result. Break statement can use this one as a return. So and you can make use of these two things actually. In the next thing, there's a new thing called yield has come. I'll explain you in the next feature, which again they did some more modification on this top of this switch statement. And you can combine these two things into one. I think that is also possible. Let's say in case this one also is possible. I don't want to have this like this. If I don't want like this, so for these two cases, I want to execute this for both of these cases. So that is also possible. This is already we are doing in our existing case, right? So instead of comma, let's say I have case 1 and then case 2 also, I have to execute these two, something like that. So this is like exactly what is your requirement on how you want to code. So that's up to you. But the main feature, just try to understand the feature, what they have introduced. Any questions?
I think we are good now.
Okay. Okay, in the last Java 11, I think I was explaining about this CDS. This is basically your sharing your library, putting in a common location. So that's basically keeping all your jars, archive files, all these things to use by multiple people. So that's where we use this one. So I think in Java 11, where I have explained here. I have explained here somewhere in Java 11. I think. Yeah, this one. Class data sharing. You want to share your classes as a jar file, so that it can be kept it as a shared between multiple applications or multiple jars. So those kind of things. So there is a minus x share. This is a Java argument that we used to pass, that used to dump to generate the CDS archive file for the Java, for the JDK classes. So now they have did some more changes to it. There's a new process how we can do it. So that's what they want to make some changes to it. So this basically for people who really works on the like application server, this one, right? So for those people, I think it will be very much useful. Who works directly on the app servers actually. And this one is a new garbage collector that got introduced, Shenandoah garbage collector. So this is a new garbage collector in Java 12 they have introduced. So this this garbage collector is basically this new thing that got added that has some unique thing that's what I want to highlight. Aims to guarantee low response times. So it doesn't matter how much your heap size has. So let's say it might be 10 MB or 15 GB also, it doesn't matter for this one. So it continuously it tries to keep your heap size by giving every for every small number of time interval, it used to collect the garbage so that it keeps your heap memory available for most of the times. So that's what they have introduced, a new garbage collector for this. So how to use that one? So you can add this parameter in your JVM argument. So that's how you can enable your Shenandoah garbage collector. And some features got added. These are some minor enhancements that they have added to as part of the JDK, this one source code base basically. And what else? So these are some minor things that got it. So majorly in Java 12, this switch statement is one important thing. And the second one is your Shenandoah garbage collector, the new garbage collector that they added. These two are major things. And one minor update is they added a new package called java.lang.constant. So this is a new package that they have added in the Java 12. Any questions? Shall we move to Java 13 features? Yes, no? Any questions? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. 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 Java 13. I think we can do some more exercises here. As earlier I told you, right, in Java 13. Okay. Sorry, it has gone somewhere. In Java 10, we introduced this one, class data sharing. Okay, this is what we have introduced in Java 13. Okay. Now, how do we create this CDS archive file as a jar file? Let's say I have some classes and I want to create a jar file. So with this command, if you see here, right, with this command, you can make this hello.jar file as a CDS archive so that it can be used by multiple people, multiple applications. That's how this CDS is the syntax for generating this hello jar. So now with this jar, so this command runs a jar with an existing CDS archive. So basically now I have a CDS archive file. I want to execute this one with this how do execute and use it. So this is how we can do that. So the syntax is available. This is the argument that you need to pass JVM argument. Okay. So this is one thing that got added, and the next one is this is again some improvement to the garbage collector that in the last Java 12 they added a new garbage collector, right? So they did some improvements to that, performance improvement for the Java in the Java 13. And the next one is this is the one important thing. So I think people who are like in the Java, I think JDK 1.0 onwards, I think they added a socket APIs. So that is very old APIs that was there from the beginning of Java. So now they did some improvements to it. So they introduced something called Neo Socket IMPL. This is a new socket implementation. So earlier it used to implement your socket IMPL by default. Now they made it as Neo socket IMPL as a default implementation for your socket programming. So maybe I can just quickly show this code. The code remains the same. There's no change. That means whatever code people who used to write a socket, same code works, but the default implementation internally had got changed. Now, if you want to change back, no, I want to do the old way of doing this one, then you have to set some parameter so that it will fall back to the old way of implementing socket. Any questions? I'll just show the code for this. Okay. Yeah. This socket is the one which this is how we used to write the socket programming, especially in the very old Java world. I think in very less companies people still use socket, but people who want to really work on this. So now the implementation of this one is got changed to Neo socket IMPL. With there are some Java arguments wherein you can fall back to the old way of your execution. You don't want to use a new one. I think they had a lot of improvements to it. The Neo socket IMPL. Okay, so yeah, moving further on this one. So these two things I just wanted to highlight: switch statement, expression, and text blocks. What exactly these two things? I just wanted to highlight. So let me go back to the Java 13 itself. I think here itself. So earlier we used to write like this, right? Java 12 and the Java 12 there is a facility to return switch statement returns and break also returns. Somehow in Java 13 they felt like returning break statement doesn't make sense. So then again the Oracle decided to add a new literal called yield. If you say yield with this one, so basically this is a kind of return which is replacing your break statement, and this makes little sense to them. So they added something called a literal called yield. So yield is basically does the same job what we used to use with the break. This is basically alternate to your break. That's what they have introduced in Java 13. This one minor thing that they added. So that can be used for your in your Lambda expression also.
We can control that without yield and break. With the semicolon itself, we can have that written kind of thing.
You mean you want to control what?
Yeah, we can. I think we can remove this yield also. If we come to the case one, we found our switch case. So that with a semicolon, we can find that this is break. This is the end of the line. So even yield and break has.
You want to use together yield and break?
No. Yeah, I think we cannot. Is there any facility to remove the yield and break? Without yield and break, also we can give.
You don't want to use yield and break. That's what you're.
Yes.
Yeah. That is there. The existing code works. Let's say this will be like let's say I'm assigning something like this, and then I'm doing return. So this is fine. There's no issue with this. It works as it is. But you can't use return and break together, right? So in the existing code, correct? If you are familiar with the existing code of this one, you can't have both. Like I can't do like this.
Yes.
This will give compilation error because it doesn't know which one to call, right? So what we have to do is either yield, either return or break we'll use. So let's say if we don't want anything yield or break, so it's up to you. But this is a new feature that they have introduced. This like basically enhancing your switch statements. You can use this facility to improve your coding style as per the Java new features. You can still write the old code. So yield they added as a new feature in Java 13. Again, there is also preview feature. That means you have to add something called enable preview. Then only you can use it. You can't use it directly because Java 14 they standardized this. That means from switch statement we'll have yield and switch statement will return something. So all these things are standardized in Java 14. Any questions? Okay, the next topic one on the this one is on the string. This one is also again preview, so that got also introduced as a feature in Java 14. Text blocks. So, so before I start on this, right? Just I want to understand. So, if I want to write multi-line string content, how do we do it?
Within the double colon, we pass multiple lines.
Double colon. No, I want to split. Let's say I have 10 lines of 10 lines of string. In Java, how will I write the 10 lines of string? You got my question, or you want me to explain what I'm trying to say?
Why Java synchronization?
No, not about the synchronization. What I'm asking is, I want to write 10 lines of code, 10 lines of not code, 10 lines of string content. I have
Paragraph.
10 lines. Okay. So how do we write in Java?
At the end of the line, after every line.
Okay, let me write it here. This is what we do, right? Let's say here inside in this one, I have str. Okay. This is first line. Okay. Same, this one, let's say I have 10 lines like this. Okay, how do we do it? Generally, this is how we do it. Then here I comes, sorry. This is second line.
Yes. Using plus
Okay.
operator, we do.
With the concatenation operator, we do this, right?
Yes.
This is third line, correct? This is how we do it, right? Now, if I execute this string, what will I get? I won't get this format, correct? It comes like this. After this, it appends here, and after this, it appends here.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
If I want to keep it as a separate lines, then you will add /n.
/n.
Correct?
Yes.
Correct? Any questions?
No,
this is simple, right? This is simple, right? This is what we do, right? So in Java 13, they introduced a new feature called text blocks. So I wanted to explain that text block. Because of that, I wrote like this. Okay, so let me get back to the Java 13 text block. What exactly is this text block? So this is a new multi-line string literal, a text block that got introduced. This is very much required for our day-to-day work. This is how we do in the case of before Java 13. Let's say if I want to write like this, we have to do code like this, right? This is what we used to do. Just have about 5 lines. 5 lines are coded like this, correct? Now I want to. I don't want to write all these things, your double quote, concatenation, and all these things, because these this is a very costly operation if you understand, if you know. So this is one string, this is another string. When we do these concatenation string, since a string is immutable class, so when you concatenate these two things, it creates one more new literal called HTML and then body. Again, when you do this one, it creates one more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So out of these 5, it creates 5 different objects, and then it returns a result, the last final one. Correct? That's how it happens. Now they just improved it a lot. So there's something called triple double quotes. If you see here, very important. This is a syntax that they have introduced. If you add like this, you can freely write anything inside that. That becomes your text block. This is what they have introduced. And to end that your this one text block, you have to put like this. Instead of double quote, you have to use 3 double quotes. This makes a text block. This is, I think, very much useful for our day-to-day work. Same thing applicable for this one, like this.
So internet is referring only to one object, is it?
Yes, yes. This entire thing is considered as one string for you.
Okay.
Okay, this is a new thing that they introduced in Java 13. Again, in Java 14, they did some more improvements to it. I will show you that. Java 14. Any questions?
In the chat, there are a few questions regarding this.
Sorry?
In the chat window, there are a few questions.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. So this is join and all we used to do it before this one, and now we can use this one. This is a convenient method of adding your text block. That's what they have added. Yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Shall we move ahead for this one? Okay. I think this completes Java 13 feature. Let me get into the Java 14. Sorry. Okay. Now Java 14 is a new thing that latest this Oracle has provided. This is a latest features that we can start using it. This is like many of the Java 12 and 13 features got standardized in Java 14. So this is the main highlights of Java 14, and this is one significant feature. This one release from the Oracle. So any questions before I start Java 14?
No.
Okay. So switch expression. So whatever we saw, right? Those things were preview features. That means those things got added in our Java 12 and 13 releases with the flag slash colon this one the enable preview option, right? You can use that in the Java 12 and 13. Now these things now added as officially as part of JDK feature now onwards. So these things available in the JDK with the return statement of your switch. So that's what they have standardized this one. That means this is available forever in the Java 14 onwards. Okay. So I think this we have already covered. Just I wanted to highlight this from Java 14 onwards. This is standard part of your Java feature of JDK. The next one is pattern matching for the instance of a preview. So before I start, so what is instance of? Can anybody help me? Where do you use instance of?
To check whether the similar objects.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else wants to add? Somebody has put in the chat. To find the type or class of object. Yes, you're right. So both are right. So basically, I have some object. I want to check whether this object belongs to this particular class. Correct? That's where we use instance of. If I say so, can I call instance of for object java.lang.object? Yes, no.
Yes.
Yes, because java.lang.object is the parent for everything. So anything and everything can be instance of java.lang.object. So in that case, for those cases, it always returns you to the true. Correct? So just a question on that.
Yes.
So let's try to understand what is instance of implement in Java. This one. So I'll just show you some code for that. Yes. So you're able to see my code, right? Okay, this is the code we used to write. That means I have object, some object I have got. I want to check whether it is the instance of string. And then if it is string, then what we used to do is we used to cast it and we used to assign something, that value. And then we used to do some checking here. That's what we generally do, right? This is the code we used to write earlier. Now with the Java 14, what has happened is these two lines, this instance of and the object casting. So these two things can be done in single line, like this. Object of your object and the instance of which class you want to do it, and what is that casting that you want to do it. So if you assign it to that variable comes here and directly you can use it. That means two lines got reduced into single line. So more than that, this is convenient method that they have introduced. So you, instead of doing it multiple things, you can do it in a single line. This is a convenient method, like how we use lambda expression to write instead of writing 3-4 lines that can be done in one line. Similar to that, this is also a new thing that they have introduced. So automatically Java 14 onwards, the binding happens and casting instance of checking happens, casting happens, and binding also happens on the same thing. Any questions? Shall we go ahead? Can we move to next feature? This is a new thing that they added as part of the Java 14.
Okay.
Okay. And what they say is this is again a preview feature. That means in Java 15 or somewhere 15, 16 or some other release, they will make it a standard part of JDK, like how we have switch expression, right? Something like that. Okay. The next important feature is a null pointer exception. I think this is a very famous exception generally we get in our code most of the times, correct? So can anybody help me? What is null pointer exception and when will you get this null pointer exception?
Divide by 0.
Sorry? Divide by 0.
That is arithmetic exception.
I don't think divide by 0 is not a null pointer exception.
String s is equal to null.
And then string s equal to null, then what?
No, for instance, if a method is expecting any value from an object or a variable, but you pass it as a null, probably it will return null pointer exception.
And when we are trying to do any operation on that object, you will get null pointer exception, correct?
Yeah.
For example, string s equal to null, and on s dot to string if I do, then it will give you null pointer exception, correct? So in your code, if you find null pointer exception, what you will do? Let's say you have a big application and in your code you found a null pointer exception. So generally, first what we will do is we go to our logs or trace files and we check this one error. There's something null pointer exception. Then what will you do? You will go to the method. It shows the method, which method it is throwing and all, right? That's why it stops. It doesn't give you the details, correct? It might give you the line number. That's all. It will not go beyond that, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So this is a new thing that Oracle has given, a new feature. This helps to identify which object has null pointer exception. Which object, when we are trying to do it gave null pointer exception. It is giving one step further details about your null pointer exception. So by adding this JVM argument, right? So it enables you to find out which line and which method and which which API when you are trying to call, it gave null pointer exception. This is like one step ahead for us to quickly tell like this is the line, this is the object which has given null pointer exception. So that is like extra thing that Java has provided. Any questions before we get into the code? Okay. Let me get into the code then. So null pointer exception test. So I have just written a code here. So as I said, I have something string s something, and I'm passing something, and when I'm trying to do string dot s2 uppercase or to string or something like that, it throws you null pointer exception. What is that error? This is how it shows the error. Correct? It just tells so what is the line number and where exactly this has happened. That's all. In Java 14, if you add this JVM argument in your Java this one, right, Java execution, then it gives this information. Cannot invoke string dot to uppercase because parameter 1 which you are passing to this one is null. This is the extra information that it gives so that you will exactly know, yes, this is object I'm trying to call and this object is null. So it becomes debugging very easy. That's what they have helping us to find out null pointer exception. Any questions?
How to write the code this before?
No,
Java?
you just add this.
Okay.
Your code will work as it is. You don't have to make any code change for that. You just need to add this extra JVM argument to your Java application.
Means it's like a code review thing. Like before deploying an application, we'll review the code and we'll fix any bugs or issues.
No, actually, this helps in your application which is running on production, right? Wherein for some object when you are trying to do something and it gave an exception, so that's where it helps actually.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I install Java 14, it is a built-in feature for Java 14, correct?
Yes.
But this argument which you're talking about, this is like a configuration for the server within the server to check for while checking the logs.
No. So see, what you do is generally, if you add this parameter, okay, in your log, for example, you are using log4j, correct? You
Yeah.
enabled your info or debug logs to it.
Yeah.
Generally, we keep info or something like that, right? Let's
Yeah.
say you enabled to some debug or
Mhm.
to info, whichever is convenient for you. Okay. Now you have
Yeah.
set it. How do you start your application? You start your application with by specifying some Java argument to it, right?
Yeah.
When you start Java application, this is Java, this is the application it should start. You specify something like that, right? So in the
Yeah.
JVM argument, you add this. Okay, you
Correct.
add this.
Yeah.
So in your code, when you get an exception, when you in traces or in log files, when you see the exception, it will tell you null pointer exception. A null pointer exception like this, right? This is a simple stack trace. There could be a big stack trace. It will tell you from your Tomcat to till your class level, and it gives this error. Correct?
Right.
Then what you'll do, generally you go to this test class, okay,
Exactly.
and then you go to this method. For example, this is a method, it is giving error, right? You'll go to the method and they'll say, okay, which object has got null pointer exception? Okay, this is a line which it gave the null exception, and you'll go and debug it and fix it. Okay, you'll try to pass some null and you do that. That's what you do, right? This is a
Right.
convenient method for you. By seeing this method, you'll definitely come to know, oh, okay, my string object which I passed, it is two uppercase method, which is expecting a valid object, but it is null. So this is the extra information it is giving for you, for your convenience.
Yeah. Perfect. But you're talking at a production level, correct? So I'm asking if I have to test it on my local sandbox. I'm not going to a production level.
No, you can add this one to your Java.
Exactly.
So yeah, you can do
Yeah,
it.
that's what
This one you can do it anywhere, right? You can do it in your local.
Yes.
You can do it anywhere. But the general usage of this one is in production or in your application which is already running. You can do it locally also.
That was my question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? Is it clear? So the point here is just add this flag in JVM argument flag in your application or in your class, wherever you want to execute it. That gives you the information about which method, which object is giving null point exception. Okay, that's one thing that they are added as a new thing. Something called records. This record is another new class that added as part of Java 14. So this will help us to basically to know what is happening at the. So generally, we in your code you put something like if you want to print what's happening for this. Let's say an object is there and you're trying to modify in each steps, right? So what you do, you'll do some SOP and then you'll print that object, then you'll put SOP and print this object. That's how we generally we do if I want to do it while execution. And otherwise, we generally use a debugger for debugging all these things. Right? This is one more convenient. This one they have provided, wherein you can add something called record. It will tell you what all things got executed and what all values it is printing it. That means I want to execute the code full and I want to see how it is behaving. So something basically a kind of alternative to a debugger. Debugger, you do it line by line from your IDE, but here you put a record. So put all the values, whatever you want to do it. At the end, when it executes, it will tell you, yes, value, for example, I had a string hello, and you change to hello world. Again, on the third step, you made something like hello, Mr. Hello world, Mr. is one. Something like you keep on changing your value, right? So every step, what you do for debugger, you keep your pointer, and it tells you what is the value change. The alternative is put SOPs, lot of SOPs in each line, and see what is the value it got changed and where it got changed, right? So something like that. So they give a convenient method wherein you execute everything and you can record in each line what is happening. So that's where they added this new thing called record. Maybe we can. This is also again preview feature. That means in upcoming releases we'll have more details on this, and they'll standardize this also. Any questions? Okay. Next one is the text block. Again, and text block is again second preview that they had. That means in text block, as I showed you here, right? So here I showed, I think, right? This is what they added, right? In the with the 3 double quotes. In 14, what they did is they added 2 more things to it. This is how we write the code in Java 13. In Java 14, you can add /s. You can add slash. This slash will also take it as to the next line. Earlier, you used to do it with the /n. With the slash, it assumes like you are going for next line. You want to go for next line. This is what like new two. These are slash and /s. These 2 things they have added. Any questions? This is basically a minor enhancement to the text blocks. Can we move ahead? Okay. There's something called packaging tool in Java, right? For every different platform, there is a way it gives you the package. For example, if you want to install your JDK on Windows, it will give you exe file. I mean, you double click it, it will ask you some options, and then when you find when you click next, and then you select relevant options for you, and when you say finish, then it tries to install JDK on your Windows machine. And on Mac OS, you use PKG or DMG files, right? So these things we generally do it, right? So there is an improvement to it. So a new tool they added called JPackage. So how do you want to generate your application into different platform specific EXEs, platform specific packages? you can use J package and you can execute and you can generate it. That's how they are actually helping us to run it. So basically, you have a Java application and you want to make this application to be available as a Linux or Mac OS or Windows. You can use J package that will build your RPM file or exe file, and it gives you the output. Output is basically your exe or RPM specific to your environment. That's how it gives. So that environment specific exe you can execute in your window in your platform. So this is a kind of one convenient method that they have added to execute our Java application, platform specific application. Any questions? Okay. The next one is this something new thing called they added some improvements to G1 garbage collector. I think in Java 7, I think Java 7 or Java 8, they introduced a new this a G1 garbage collector. So they are adding some improvements to it. When it runs for the large machines, the performance was not that good. So they added some improvements to it. So how can we enable those things? By adding this flag, you can enable this the new feature that is improvement to the G1 garbage collector. Okay, the next one is this one, event streaming. This event streaming is basically, I think in Java 10, I think, right, we this JFR, Java Flight Recorder. This is for your profiling tool, right? That is available and it can be used in your JDK. So they are basically helping us to make use this JFR by adding some event streaming. That means continuously you are getting some events to your stream of events coming to your application, and you want to capture all of them and you want to analyze, right? So they are basically done some improvement to this event streaming. That's what they are trying to highlight here. Okay, any questions? And these are all some minor enhancements that they have done. So ZGC is the one which they added as part of JDK 12. So there again some improvements to that GC, this garbage collector, and again as part of Windows how this can be improved. So there are some basically little enhancements added as part of JDK 14. These are major things that they added. For us, for the developers, I think very important is switch expression. This they have standardized it. Instead of they have added a preview feature for it. A null pointer exception is a new thing that they have added. And text block and records. Record you can do some exercise on this. So how it works? There's a thing. Did I have the code for that? So you have some code like this. You write, right? I have some code and I want to see what is the value at each point and all. So with the record, what you can do is you can just record this. There's a record option where you can add record and then enable preview feature and execute it. It prints whatever values it has. All these values, whatever you do using SOP, that SOP is not required. So there's a record will take care of printing all the values assigned to it, something like that. Any questions? Okay. That completes the Java 12, 13, and 14 features. Java 12 and 13, as I said, is not a very big feature as such. 14 has a lot of many of these things. Whatever they introduced in 12 and 13 are standardized in Java 14. Can I stop recording?